everyone. I'm John Jenkinson, and welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP, and to our listeners joining us on Rural Radio on Sirius XM Channel 147. Tonight's show will strike a chord with just about everyone across the country. Robocalls pitching coronavirus testing kits, or emails pitching hard-to-get sanitizing cleaners and protective gear. We're going to share some tips on how to spot these scams and how you can protect yourself against would-be fraudsters. We want you to join our conversation. Our question of the month is, are you getting more calls related to the coronavirus pandemic? If so, we want to know what they are. We're going to give away a Yeti Cooler tonight to 5 lucky on-air callers tonight. Callers 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 will be the lucky winners. You don't need to be a member of AARP or over 50 to win. As a reminder, you can win only once each calendar year, but you can give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join the conversation. Ready to take your call. We want to let those who are winners tonight know that AARP will call you back. Might not be tonight, but they will give you a call in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. So don't worry, if you're a winner, you will get your Yeti Cooler. We're doing things a little bit differently these days, and joining me live from their own homes, fraud expert and AARP Washington State Director Doug Shadell and AARP Vermont State Director Greg Marshallton. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. It's good to have you on the show. Greg, I want to lead off here with you just a little bit. Kind of a big deal tonight, giving away more Yeti Coolers.
We'd love to give away those Yeti Coolers, John, and we do want the callers to know that called in February and March and April. If you haven't received your Yetis, they're either on the way or they'll be getting there soon, obviously, with a lot of the stay-at-home stuff that's been going on during the pandemic. It's been a little more difficult for us to ship things, but they're going to be out to you soon, and we look forward to getting them to you, and we look forward to more winners tonight.
Sounds good, Greg. Well, Doug, I want to start off tonight's show by talking about an uptick in fraud around health treatments and testing kits. Tell us what those frauds are. Maybe our callers have a story to share about them.
Yeah, I hope they do. It would be very unusual if they didn't. We are being bombarded with robocalls and pop-ups on Facebook and all kinds of stuff relating to the COVID crisis. The Federal Trade Commission has received tens of thousands of complaints, hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. And part of the explanation, we've been studying fraud for a long time at AARP. And one of the things we do is we interview scammers and we ask them, how do you do it? And one of the first things they always say is, get people into a state of anxiety, get them off balance emotionally. Well, the entire United States of America is arguably in a state of anxiety because of this crisis. And so it's really just open season on consumers. You know, it's everything from, I've got your stimulus check, please give me your debit card number and I'll put the money on your debit card, to, oh, you know, we found the vaccine, free testing kits, and I think we've got some recordings tonight that you're going to play. And I'd be very interested to hear from anybody in the audience who may have received a call like the ones you're going to hear today. Like I said, I'd be very surprised if you didn't.
All right, well, you have an example of one. Let's listen to it and see what it has to say.
Greetings, this is a courtesy call from 3MS Safety Program to inform you that due to the coronavirus pandemic, the government have authorized our laboratories to offer you the safety and medical kit, which at this moment are sold out in the market. We are giving you the priority to have access to the supplies needed before the state's lockdown. Please contact us at...
The coronavirus has caused the U.S. to declare a national emergency. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act has made coronavirus testing more accessible immediately. If you want to receive a free testing kit delivered overnight to your home, press 1.
All right, so there we've heard a couple of different ones, Doug. One of the things that really sticks out in my mind when you listen to those is they make it sound so urgent. It goes back to what you were talking about just a moment ago about kind of keying in and playing on people's emotions at a heightened anxiety level, and then you get a phone call like this. I'm sure that this would really get the attention of a lot of people, vulnerable or not.
Yeah, I think it does. And remember that when it comes to robo-dialing, they can send out hundreds, millions of these calls with the touch of a button for very inexpensively. And that Corona First virus pitch thing where we've got the free testing kit and whatnot, that came out within 24 hours of Congress passing that law. So not only do they have the ability to blanket our phone lines across the country with these scams, but they can do it very quickly and be very nimble and customize the pitch to whatever's going on in the news. And so this is why we're so concerned about it and want to warn your viewers. I'd be very interested to hear if there are anyone who can call in and say, hey, I got that call, because I know I've gotten these myself. And the other thing is we're finding we have a partnership with Nomo Robo, which is a call blocking company, and they give us live feeds of a lot of the calls coming in. It isn't just free kits or personal protection equipment. It's everything. Hey, we're going to come clean the air ducts in your house, or, just selling anything that they normally would sell, but tying it to the coronavirus crisis.
Sometimes I've heard folks, Doug, talk about that when they get these robocalls, they'll see the phone number on their phone and it will look like a local number, and that encourages. Even I have fallen for that. Well, gosh, that's from somebody near my where I live, my area code, maybe my prefix. And you're inclined to answer it. How does that work, and how do they get through that?
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that, John, because this is new technology. You can download an app. It's so easy to spoof the number. We did a whole campaign last year called Spoof Proof Your Life, in which we did a demonstration. I downloaded software that cost me $5, or it was an app that would cost me $5, and it allowed me to spoof the number that I'm calling from. And it's as simple as I call you, I enter your number, and then it has another place on this app to say, what number do you want it to look like I'm calling from? And you can enter any number you want to. You can enter the White House, you can enter the Social Security Administration. And then when that call goes through and you have caller ID or on your phone, it comes up as that number. Look, the White House is calling me. So one message here on this point is you cannot trust caller ID anymore. It is not a reliable source of information about who's calling you.
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad that you bring that up. Greg, AARP has a strong relationship with the Federal Trade Commission, and you work together to keep information flowing to all Americans. What tips on avoiding coronavirus-related scams are they offering?
Well, yeah, AARP does work closely with the Federal Trade Commission and, frankly, a lot of other government and state agencies on the issue of fraud. When we all work together, we're able to get that message out to our members and to the public in a much faster way. So here are a few tips that we're sharing tonight, and I'll share more a little bit later in the show. So really the first thing is do not respond to texts, emails, calls, or anything that purports to be from a government agency. That is not how these people are going to reach you on this specific issue. Also, make sure that that's specifically related to stimulus checks. We've seen that scam going on now, so don't respond to any of those. And ignore all offers for vaccinations and home testing kits. We've heard a lot about testing so far during this pandemic, and so when you get a call like that, like we heard earlier, ignore it. And then be wary for any ads in your newspaper, that you on the radio, that you might see on the internet, talking about free test kits or cheap test kits. Those are scams as well. So we'll share some more FTC tips in a little bit later in the show, but those ones are really key, and we need to make sure people are doing that so that they can protect themselves and their families.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll take your calls. We have Yeti Coolers to give away, and we want you to join the conversation. So give us a call, 877-283-7570. More Rural America Live with AARP coming up next.
One thing that's happened during this pandemic that I'm not too happy about is the way or the uptick that's taken place in fraud or attempts of fraud, whether it be robocalls to my phone offering help or people attacking my mom because she's a senior and wanting her to give her social, give her address or banking information because they're offering supplies. Things like that, it's tough to swallow, but I realize it's part of the world we live in, and because of her age, she's a target. But the good thing is that she speaks to me about these things before ever relinquishing that type of info.
Hi, we're the Oak Ridge Boys, and you're watching AARP Live.
Yeah.
If you're looking online for a furry new family member, chances are good that you'll find a scam. Here are 5 tips on how to avoid an online pet scam. Don't be swayed by authentic-looking websites. Scammers swipe photos, videos, and testimonials from legitimate pet sites. Don't buy or adopt a pet unless you can meet it in person. Do research on what reputable breeders are charging for the breed you are interested in, and be skeptical if an online seller's price seems too good to be true. If the seller requires payment by money transfer, gift card, or prepaid debit card, it's most likely a scam. Consider adopting from a local shelter or rescue group instead of buying a pet online. You can look up adoptable animals near you at petfinder.com and the shelterpetproject.org. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. For more tips, go to aarp.org/FraudWatchNetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. Coronavirus test kits, Social Security, robocalls, scams, fraud, and you. That's our topic tonight. And we want you to join our conversation and give us a call. Are you getting calls about coronavirus test kits or offers for hard-to-get sanitizer? We want you to share your story, or maybe you have a tip on how to stop these scammers in their tracks. You can give us a call. The phone number, 877-283-7570, and the lines are open right now. I'm here with fraud expert Doug Shadell and AARP State Director for Vermont, Greg Marshallton. Greg, before the break, you shared some tips from the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, on how to avoid coronavirus scams. And I know you have a couple more that you wanted to share.
Yeah, John, I certainly do. We're really encouraging people to watch for emails claiming that they're coming from the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control, or from the WHO, which is the World Health Organization. Obviously, those two places are providing critical and important information to people across the country related to the coronavirus. But scammers are using these to try to get to people to take their money. So be very, very wary of those and be proactive. We encourage people to go to the CDC site and the WHO site for good information. But be proactive and do it yourself. Don't respond to something that's coming to you through email. And finally, AARP is keeping our site up to date every single day at aarp.org/coronavirus. We're updating it daily. We're syncing all that information with the CDC, and we're adding new stuff each and every day. So we encourage people to go there as well.
Yeah, I know that there's more examples of these robocalls and what to be watching for, and you've got some more to share with us. Let's hear those.
Hello, This is a call from the Social Security Administration. During these difficult times of the coronavirus, we regret to inform you that we have got an order to suspend your socials immediately within 24 hours due to suspicious and fraudulent activities found on your socials. We are contacting you as this case is critical and needs your urgent attention. To get more information about this case, please call immediately on our department number.
Okay, so here we are. This sounds horribly urgent. If you were to get this call when you were conducting business in the middle of the day, maybe late in the evening when you were having supper or sitting with the family, that would certainly rattle you, number one. But number two, would anybody from the Social Security office ever call on the phone to tell you this kind of thing?
No, they would not. Neither the Internal Revenue Service nor the Social Security Administration will ever call you with a call like that. But the problem is that if you are on Social Security, as many millions of people are, and if it's your only source of income, or even if it isn't, this is an alarming call to get. And what we found over the last 3 years, it started with IRS calls. I'm calling from the IRS there's something irregular with your account, call immediately or we're going to arrest you. It was a fear appeal. And this is one of the things we're seeing more and more, not just with the virus, but in general. It used to be that we had a lot of pitches that were just, hey, you've won $1 million and call us. And that was the appeal. But that started to not work. So then they went to these fear appeals. I'm the IRS calling. Then people started catching on to the IRS scam. And then they changed it literally overnight to the Social Security pitch you just heard, which is exactly the same as the IRS pitch, but just inserting the words Social Security there, and now adding the coronavirus on top of it. And so they're sort of customizing it to fit the news. The Social Security Administration will never call you. If you're worried about your Social Security account, you should contact them independently, but they're never going to call you and threaten you. So that's how you know it's a scam.
Yeah, it's something to be very aware of. Well, we've got some callers waiting to talk to you, gentlemen, so let's go to the phones. The number is 877-283-7570. Pamela from Louisiana, welcome tonight to Rural America Live. What's your question or comment?
Well, he was talking about them calling and saying that they were going, this is not about the Social Security or anything, but they called me, said I had a representative from the company, my power company, that was on their way to cut off my power because I had missed my last 3 months' payment, and they were coming to cut my power off, and they were on their way. And, of course, that scared me, and I said, well, I know that I haven't failed to pay my bills because I have the canceled checks in the book. I write everything down in the book and I keep track of it. And I had my canceled checks, and I told him. He said, but I've been told to come and cut your power off. And we're right where the storm comes through in Louisiana, where we had the bad storms. And I said, well, you just come on then, and I'll have someone waiting for you. But he didn't come. No one came, of course, but I called the power company, Entergy, and I told them what had happened, and they looked into it for me, and it was a call. And they said they would never call anything like that. If they called, it would be, they would send a letter or something first, but they said they would never call over the phone or send anyone to cut the power off like that.
Well, Pamela, thank you very much for the call. Doug, she brings up a good point here. We had that tropical storm that went through Louisiana. Again, it goes back to what your point was earlier this evening about just a heightened anxiety. Anybody just seems to be able to, especially these fraudsters, seem to just jump on those opportunities just right away.
Yeah, and Pamela was really wise in what she did there, which she has good records. She didn't respond. She called her power company to verify. It's exactly what you should do. And they, of course, said it's a scam, which she suspected anyway. But as we, in our partnership with these robo callers, you see this pattern where it's like, I'm calling from insert name of power company, and we're going to cut your power off. Well, it's an automatic transcript, and it uses fear. And again, in the environment we're in, where there's a heightened state of anxiety, fear appeals really work well. And on the hand sanitizer, the thing is, if that stuff starts getting priced out of control, that's price gouging. And you should file a complaint with your Attorney General's office if you see a bottle that normally went for 90 cents go for $10 or $15. That's price gouging, and that's illegal in most states. So it would be worth reporting that.
Danny from Arkansas joins us also. And Danny, congratulations. You're a winner of a Yeti Cooler tonight. What's your comment or question?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, I'd like to tell y'all how much I enjoy watching RFD-TV. I tell you, it just makes my life so much better. And my question is, where do these people get your cell phone number? And I have wondered, does anyone put out like a phone book that has nothing but cell phone numbers in it? I've never seen anything like that.
I'd be interested to hear what Greg says. My only take on that is that a lot of the times when you're getting called, it's just random number dialing. They'll just go, 111, 1111, and then these computers can dial sequentially so rapidly that they don't really need your number. Now, in the case of what John was talking about, where it looked like, they were spoofing the number and it looked like you were local, that's designed to trick you. And sometimes they'll do that just to make it look like they're calling locally. But all of your numbers are already out there. Greg, do you have anything to add about that?
The only thing I would add to that, Doug, is that, like you said, the speed dialing that happens through these computer programs is incredible. And people can get these numbers really from any place at all. I'd like to make one quick comment on the previous caller as well, just to let people know out there that in just about every state in the country, it is illegal for a power company to shut you down if you haven't paid your bill. So on top of everything that Doug said and all the stuff that Pamela did right, people should know that literally in every state, maybe not all, but almost every state, it is illegal to shut someone down for not paying their power bill, particularly in the heat of summer in the Midwest when it's really hot and you need to cool your house, or where I live in the Northeast where it gets cold in the wintertime. So just know that going in.
Greg, that's an excellent point. I'm glad that you brought that up. From Arkansas, let's go to Virginia and visit with Tina this evening. Good evening, Tina. Welcome to Rural America Live. What's your question or comment for these gentlemen?
Hello. My comment is, I heard that they supposed to have found a cure for the virus.
That's interesting. I think I would wonder where that information came from, because the CDC and places like that, the World Health Organization, are working on finding, a cure or at least a vaccine for it. But you have to be somewhat skeptical and pay attention to the sources of the information, because there's just a flood of misinformation going on out there in the social media, whether you want to call it fake news or whether you want to call it, just trying to fool people. And the best thing to do if you have concerns about that or wonder about a medical question like that is to contact your own doctor and ask if they have heard of anything, because everyone wants to find a cure for this. And if it really is true, your doctor will know about it. Greg, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, I would just say that's excellent advice on calling your own physician. And again, what Doug and I mentioned earlier is be a good proactive consumer. As Doug said, there's a flood of information coming at people on this. That currently they are working on getting a vaccine or a cure. It is not there yet, but if you go to the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC website, or even the AARP.org/coronavirus website, you'll see the updated information, which will let you know in plain terms that there is not a cure or a vaccine for this yet. I think we're all, as Doug said, hopeful that will be coming, but that may not be for 3, 6, 12, 15, 18 months. We just don't know yet. So be an active and a proactive consumer and go to those good sources, the CDC and the WHO or the AARP site, to get information. Don't just take it in from what's coming in through your computer screen or your newspaper or your radio station.
Good question there. Let's go to Mike in Ohio. And first of all, Mike, we want to congratulate you on being a winner for a Yeti Cooler tonight. What's your question or comment for the panel?
Well, my question or comment would be, I got a first phone call this morning. This particular scam I've never heard before. I saw the number on caller ID, so I answered in hello in a foreign language, and she says, "Attention, attention! This is Linda," and she gave some last name, a foreign-sounding woman, and said, due to the COVID-19 and the stress it's causing on people with high credit debt, that this company can eliminate all of your credit debt and you have nothing else to worry about. I started laughing and hung up and thought, well, that was a good one. But I've never heard that one before. At least around here in Ohio, I hadn't.
Doug?
Yeah, I mean, a very common robocall is some variation of that, which is if you're having debt problems, we can eliminate your credit card debt. And now they're just tying that same script to we can eliminate your credit card debt because of coronavirus, or the federal government has a new program. This is another variation on the corona scam. The government does have a lot of programs right now. And so it's sort of plausible that they might have one that would eliminate your need to pay your mortgage. Wouldn't that be great? It isn't true, but that's the kinds of calls you're getting here. And as people fall behind, I mean, there are millions of people who are newly unemployed, sometimes for the first time in their lives. It's a little bit of wishful thinking. They may actually press 1 or dial the number back on the off chance that there's some merit to it. Typically, there is not. Greg, anything to add?
No, that's an excellent point, particularly at a time. I mean, you can tell Doug has been talking about to us about this for years, but the environment that we're currently living in with this pandemic, and it's, we don't have a cure or a vaccine yet. We have tens of millions of people are out of work. So, and as Doug said, there are government programs right now. So people could believe this, and you get to a point where you want to believe it. If you're out of work and you're stretched on your mortgage, you want to believe that there's something like that. So you make that call, but you could find yourself out $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, whatever your mortgage is. So don't go for that. Again, these types of things coming into you are really designed to sort of get yourself into the ether, get your anxiety levels up, get you really worked up, so you make that mistake and write that check or go to MoneyGram and send that money to someone you'll never see it again.
We're talking about robocalls tonight and scammers who just prey on these kinds of situations where there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. And this is your perfect opportunity to visit with experts about that to answer your questions. The telephone number you can call right now is toll-free. It's 877-283-7570. And we would like to take your call right now. And Robert from Florida, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. What's your comment or question?
Yes, I think this is a scam, but I'm not sure yet. But this is on Facebook. I was on there looking at what my friends had posted and everything. Then all of a sudden there was a advertisement for a folding work table, and you just push the buttons and the legs come down and everything. It looked really nice and everything, and it was like $19 and something, and I thought, well, that's a good deal. So I went ahead and with the tax and everything, it would have been $38. But I didn't use a credit card or anything. I went ahead and went through PayPal, and I ordered through PayPal. And it's been over a month and a half, and I haven't received it yet. And so I got a hold of PayPal, and they checked in to it and said that it was from overseas, and they're checking in on it. And one good thing about that is PayPal, if they find out it is a scam, then they will refund me my money back to me. But I think it's a scam because it doesn't take that long, a month and a half, and they don't even send an email or anything to let you know it's on the way or anything like that.
Doug?
Yeah, I think you're wise to contact PayPal and or your credit card company, and it may be both because you may have your credit card as payment through PayPal, and because if you want to dispute a charge on your credit card like this within 60 days, the credit card company must remove the charge, and most of them will do that. So you're probably safe there. But it raises another point just about responding to pop-ups on Facebook. I, about a month ago, couldn't find masks for my family. There was a time when there was a real shortage. So I was looking all over on Google and so forth. I go onto my Facebook, and all of a sudden there's all these pop-up ads from companies I've never heard of offering, 10 face masks for $10. And I was tempted to go for it because, again, in this moment where we're anxious and desperate to protect our families, you tend to go for those things. The general advice is deal with legitimate sources. And as Greg said earlier, and I just want to reiterate this, you initiate the contact. If you're interested in a folding table, you can search folding table on the internet and get a bunch of different sellers. Go with one that is, reputable. But I think the caller did the right thing in general by contesting the charge. Greg?
Oh, I agree with that. I've been really impressed with all the callers this evening, having made a lot of right decisions after being reached out to. But you definitely would have wanted to contact PayPal. Again, as he noted, that your credit card is on there, which it is, and this is a scam. The credit card company will assume that cost. But pop-ups, as Doug was saying, not just on Facebook, but all across the internet, these are very dangerous things. Our advice is to stay away from the pop-ups completely. And again, as Doug was just saying, be a good consumer. Go to, if you're looking for the folding chair, go to Google and input folding chair, and you'll have 2,100 options in front of you from reputable places where you can buy one from. Again, it's all about being a good consumer and being proactive instead of being reactive.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Denise from Iowa gives us a call tonight, and she's also a winner of a Yeti Cooler. Congratulations. And what's your comment or question, Denise?
Hi, Greg, John, and Doug. How do I handle answering my phone when I'm afraid of falling victim to a scam and when I'm trying to sell livestock or run an egg business?
That's a good question, Doug. Denise was wanting to know, how does she avoid a scam when she's dealing with livestock, trying to sell livestock, things like that?
I think the general advice we've been giving all night, which is, if you're an expert in livestock, I just wouldn't I wouldn't do anything over the phone. I wouldn't do anybody who calls you, consider getting a call blocking company, because, a huge percentage of the people who call you now are just out and out scammers. And they can buy lists of people who are in farming business and target you. It's called spear phishing, where they know that you are a farmer or that you're in livestock, and they're going to sell you a product that is customized to your needs and a deal that sounds too good to be true, And so I don't mean to be anti-phone or anything, but really, I think it's a question of dealing with reputable sources and initiating the contact yourself. Greg?
Yeah, I would completely agree with everything that Doug said. And again, for the caller with is really an excellent question tonight. It's the incoming calls that I think that you should be, we think you should be most concerned about. I know I certainly get a lot of calls on my phone with numbers. Some of them look like they're right here in Vermont with the same area code. But if it's not attached to, it's not my mom or my brother or my sons or a friend of mine whose name will pop up on my phone, I let that go right away, and usually no message is left, because those are largely scam calls. If it is somebody that I know whose number I don't have to happen on my phone, they'll leave me a message, and then I can call them right back. So a really important thing to do is don't answer the phone unless you really know who's on the other end. And with all the caller ID on all mobile phones today, if you don't recognize the number, don't pick it up. And again, if it's somebody you know, they'll leave you a message, and you can call them right back.
Greg, I think that's excellent advice. I know I do that personally quite a bit. If you'd like to join the conversation, we would love to hear from you. 877-283-7570. Give us a toll-free call tonight. We would sure like to hear from you, like Mary in North Carolina. Good evening, Mary. Welcome to Rural America Live with AARP. What's your comment or question tonight?
We get calls about Medicare being on a secure line, but they want all the information. And finally, I just said, you should know all that if you are from Medicare. There've been several calls of this. They never call, do they?
Legitimately, Medicare will never call you. A lot of the calls we've seen that use Medicare are, you're eligible for a free back brace or a neck brace or a knee brace, that kind of thing. And, with the number of people who are in pain, I'm over 60 years old. I have all those problems, neck, knee, everything, and they'll tell you, hey, we can give you this and it won't cost you anything because Medicare will pay for it. Well, indeed, Medicare will pay for durable medical equipment like that. The problem is that they will send you a neck brace that's worth $10, and they may bill Medicare $2,000 for it. And then you've used your I'm not sure if it's once in a lifetime or once every year, Greg might know this, allotment of durable medical equipment that Medicare will pay for. So that's kind of Medicare fraud that you're talking about. Another thing that's really common in the calls is selling Medicare supplement insurance. And it's really just a lead generation thing. We can get you a great deal. We can cut your premiums in half. And if you say yes, then they're going to just hook you up with a health insurance salesman. Greg, anything else on that?
Not much, other than you do have a small, as Doug was saying, a small annual allotment for medical durable goods, but it's small. The hundreds of millions of dollars that are scammed out of the Medicare program each and every year are a very significant problem for folks that are currently on the program and those like Doug and I who are not too far away from being on Medicare ourselves. So the scam that he talked about with the back braces and neck braces, we're seeing that a lot here in the Northeast and certainly in Vermont. But Medicare, again, is not going to reach out to you and offer you some option to purchase something. You, again, would be working with your doctor. Your doctor would prescribe a neck brace or a back brace saying that you needed one for a medical condition, and then you would be able to purchase that legitimately and have Medicare reimburse it.
Well, we have to take another short break, but we still have 2 Yeti coolers to give away, and the phone lines are open, so give us a call. 877-283-7570. And join the conversation. More Rural America Live with AARP when we come back.
Hi, I'm Joe Bonzel with the Oak Ridge Boys. Got a minute to talk about a scam targeting our veterans? Fraudsters come at ex-service members from many angles, employing vet-focused twists on identity theft, phishing, imposter scams, coronavirus scams, and investment and loan deceptions. The goal is often to manipulate or gain access to benefits the government provides to those who served. One example of a benefits scheme targeting veterans is called the benefits buyout, which occurs when scammers offer veterans an upfront payment of cash in exchange for a veteran's future disability or pension payments. In reality, these buyouts are typically a fraction of the value of the benefit. Be a fraud fighter. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Report scams to your local law enforcement or for help from AARP. Call 1-877-908-3360 or visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at aarp.org/Fraud Watch Network. Thank you.
What a great message. Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. We have a couple of more Yeti coolers to give away, so we're going to go straight to the phones. The number, it's toll free, 877-283-7570. So let's go to the phone here. Brenda from South Dakota joins us now. Brenda, congratulations. You are the winner of a Yeti cooler. We'd love to hear your question or comment this evening.
Well, thank you. How exciting. I just wanted to make a comment that I really appreciate your show. I've been watching it for a couple of months now, and it's very informative and very personal because I have, had these experiences myself. Recently, I have received calls, and it's been a continuous call. It says, we'd like to have you jump on the phone to discuss your options. They never tell me what my options are, but press 1 to connect to a representative. Press 4 to get a list of your options. Press 9 to have your name removed from the calling list. Well, my first instinct would be to press 9 to be removed from the calling list. However, is that doing that give them some kind of access to your phone number to use to sell to other companies or to use for negative purposes? What is your response to that?
Doug, that's a great question, and I know it even happens to me as well. What do we have here for Brenda?
I think the simple answer is to just hang up. I understand the motivation is I want fewer of these calls, but pressing 9 is not going to do it because it's probably a machine that's calling you to begin with, and they'll call you back eventually. So I don't think it really matters one way or another. It's probably not going to reduce the number of calls you get, and I don't know that it will enhance the number of times they call you. The best thing is to just hang up. And if one thing we haven't talked about is the do not call registry, which you can go to, and that's the Federal Trade Commission, I believe, Greg, if I'm not mistaken, monitors that. And this is something that will reduce your calls. You can tell them, you can register, and you won't get as many calls. It doesn't eliminate all the robocalls, however, because they don't really care if they're violating civil rules. Greg, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, again, the do not call registry is important. And just for folks to know, if you're in a family, you can not just register your own mobile phone and your landline. You can register, I think, up to 3 or 4 on the same form. And it's a great thing to do. It won't cut them all out, but it will cut a number of them out. And again, Doug's advice, it's either hang up, and I think even better than hanging up maybe is just, again, don't pick up at all unless you're really certain you know who's calling you. And again, that's just a matter of looking at your caller ID and making sure that, oh, that's my husband or that's my sister. I want to talk to them. But if it's just a plain number, let it go to voicemail. Many times it's going to be a fraudulent call, and they're either going to leave you a voicemail, which you shouldn't respond to. But if it is someone you know, again, then you can call them right back. That really is the simplest and best way to protect yourself.
So let's go to David. Good evening, David. Welcome to the program. What's your comment or question?
Well, a while back I got a phone call, and they said, well, they would remodel our house, Well, we could get shingles, and then I said, no, we got steel roof, that's good. Could get windows? No, I said the windows are good too. And new siding? No, I said the siding was good too. Finally, they said, how about your bathroom? We can come out and remodel that. No, I said, you can come out and help me dig a new outhouse hole. That would be good. Then they hung up. I guess nobody wants to work that hard no more.
Doug, that's an original response, and it probably put an end to that call in a short order.
Your viewers are very sharp, you know that. A couple things I want to say about that. First of all, good for him. A lot of fun. But what he was really doing is something called a refusal script, right? So if you do want to pick up the phone, just remember a script, something that you're going to say that you practice to get off the phone. And we, for years, have been encouraging people to do this. Some people don't want to be rude. And so we say, well, just say the same thing every time. Because some people do want to pick up the phone. I agree with Greg. I don't think you should. But he certainly did the right thing. And, who knows who you're going to get coming out to your house. Greg, any thoughts?
Well, a couple things. I do love the outhouse line, so that certainly would chase them away. Just another reminder, too, home repair fraud is very prevalent, very active. That is out there for sure. And there are many states that have very specific laws against home repair fraud. We see a lot of this with roofs and asphalt driveways, I think, more particularly. If you get that kind of a call, it's important to report that to your Office of Attorney General. So that they can track those scams and make sure that they can report them into the communities where they're being seen. But home repair fraud is a big one. And again, people are home a lot right now during the pandemic. They're staying home a lot more. They're working from home. Retirees aren't going out as much because it's a lot less safe. So this is a perfect time for home repair fraud to happen. So you got to be real careful about that.
Gene from Montana gives us a call tonight, and he is also a winner of a Yeti Cooler. Gene, congratulations there on winning a cooler. What's your question or comment here tonight for the panel?
Well, my family is, I keep getting a call from your warranty on your pickup is out, and you've got to renew it right now. And I said, well, my pickup is 27 years old. And I said, my bookkeeper is on vacation. She just came back. But if you call 406-363-3033, and she'll be glad to send you a check. Well, that is the sheriff's office's phone number.
Gene, my pickup's old too, and I get those same type of calls. I don't have anything that's under warranty anymore. Is this pretty common, Doug and Greg?
It is. And before I comment on that, your viewers, let's have people call in and give us the best refusal script that they can think of. We're already on that track right now. We've had 2 in a row that are really good. We want to hear more. What do you cleverly say to get people off the phone? The car warranty robodial is, in our analysis of all the calls going out, literally the second most common, and sometimes the first most common call you get. And is it an out-and-out fraud? Maybe. Sometimes it is. More often than not, it's overpriced mortgage insurance, car repair insurance. And that's not the way you should buy it. If you think you would like to have that, extend your car warranty, or get coverage, you should research it independently. Greg?
No, I have nothing to add to that other than I did get one of those calls about my car, the warranty on my car today. I did get one of those calls left in my voicemail. So as Doug said, I think he just said it was the second most prevalent call happening. Again, if you're looking for something like that, go find it yourself. Don't take it as an incoming phone call.
All right. The telephone number is 877-283-7570. Like Doug and Greg were mentioning, we would love to hear some of your anecdotal lines here. Let's go to Carl. Carl, good evening. Welcome to Rural America Live with AARP. What's your comment or question?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. I'm a caregiver for a 90, almost ornery and cantankerous 90-year-old Korean War veteran. And recently we've got him a set of phones that allow him to push a button on the phone that says call block. And as soon as the phone recognizes that it's a number that he has already call blocked, it automatically shuts that phone number down and it doesn't even register anymore. So the unfortunate thing is it has a limited capacity of 250 numbers to block call block numbers, because there's it doesn't matter how many numbers they call from, but eventually you can whittle down the amount of people that are calling, because once they realize that it's not a valid number and they don't understand that it's a blocked number, they take you off their list. So his phone calls have gone from 48 to 50 a month down to 4, just from him having the ability to block the calls. So the set system that we've got is made by Panasonic, but there is actually phones out there now on the market that allow an individual to press the button, say call block, and yes. And so they push 2 buttons, and they'll never receive an incoming call from that number again.
Well, first of all, Carl, thank you very much for caring for this individual, and thank him very much for his service to our country. Really appreciate it. Greg, that's a great point here, Greg. Anything to add to that, or can you expand on these a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a terrific point he made. Call blocking is certainly a great way to go. The caller indicated that there's some capacity to that, 250. I think now some phones it can be even a little bit more than that. The trouble with that is that you can, in the near term, draw down the level of you can block that level, but there's so much of it out there, and there's so many people doing it, and they're not just doing it, in Oklahoma City and Madison and Seattle. It's coming from all over the world, so your call blocking won't be able to keep up with it. But more importantly, something we need to point out here is that we have is the caregiving piece of the conversation and the comment that the caller just made. If you have a really elderly parent, someone who is not familiar with technology, not familiar with mobile phones, or struggles with a little bit that, if you have the adult child or a grandchild who can really step in and help with that, it makes a huge difference. So what this guy has been doing for his father not only is the right thing to do, but he's potentially saving him all sorts of money from getting scammed. So it's a really, really important thing to note how important caregivers can, the kind of role that they can play on helping protect an elderly parent.
That's an excellent point. And Carl, thank you very much again. Let's go to Don in Michigan here, who joins us this evening. Don, it's good to have you on the program with us. What's your comment or question?
Well, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I was sitting there reading the April AARP bulletin telling about all the scam that's going on in the world. And so many people are crooked in this world, and so many people are gullible to answer those things and waste their money. That's my comment.
Sure. Doug, your comment here then to this, to Don's question about all of this fraudulent activity?
Yeah. The AARP Bulletin and Magazine have done a pretty good job in the last couple of years of highlighting fraud schemes. And the April edition, if you haven't read it, is worth reading. It's about the how organized it is, how it's really a business, and there are departments, corporations that are doing fraud. It's really well done.
I have nothing to add to that other than there's been a lot of good information that AARP is putting out, and I encourage people to stay on top of it and read it. We're really trying to help here.
Okay, sounds good. We're just about out of time. We want to be sure and say thank you very much to all of the callers that called in. Gentlemen, Doug Shadell and Greg Marshallton, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Always appreciate your time. Also, be sure and join us again next month, July 16th, for our show on Social Security. And you will have a Social Security expert here to answer your questions. I'm John Jenkinson. Thank you very much for joining us on Rural America Live. Good night from Rural America's most important network.